Hi, I'm Erica Hall. I am currently the board chair of the Florida Food Policy Council, also the de facto executive director, so in charge of the day-to-day operations and various things around the governance of the organization. I've had a passion for food systems probably as long as I can remember. Growing up in New York, my parents had community gardens that they helped set up throughout my neighborhood in Brooklyn, and we had a garden in our yard. And my mother was a part of a CSA, community supported agriculture, and she worked at a co-op in Park Slope, the Park Slope Food Co-op. It's been there forever, and she was a volunteer when I was young. So that was how I first saw the way people work together as a community to reach their goals. And then, of course, in graduate school and living in Washington, D.C., I did my dissertation around food deserts when Michelle Obama was the first lady, and did a lot of work around corner store projects throughout the Southeast Washington, D.C. area, and did a lot of focus groups and community work, meeting those groups in D.C. that did not have access to grocery stores. And seeing the disparity, actually. But those tools, I think, I take with me into this work. And then my master's is in community economic development. So that's where I kind of combine the two. The law and my love of the law, and then my love of community development and my love of people and neighborhood preservation and neighborhood revitalization and all of those things that build stronger communities, and food is a part of that. And my work, with the Sierra Club, I'm black and green, so my environmental justice work is equally as important because food and environmental justice is inextricably linked. That's the only way change is created and change is affected, is if you go to the source, which is the law, which is the policy, which are statutes. If they're not there, create them. If they're there and they're obstacles, get rid of them. Everything kind of revolves around the policy. A lot of people don't know who to talk to and what that consists of. If they want to build a community garden in their neighborhood, they may not realize there's a lot of red tape involved with it, from growing food, something so simple as to feed yourself and to feed your community. So policy we decided to focus on, especially in Florida, where you have rural communities, indigenous communities, you have the farm worker communities, and urban communities like Miami, like St. Pete, like Fort Lauderdale. So the issues are different depending on what part of the state you're in. All of that for me is kind of how I got into this work, and I think Florida needed me. I think they chose me. I searched for groups like this because I had worked on food policy councils in D.C. and in New York and in other communities, in grad school even in New Hampshire. So I said, I know Florida must have a food policy council. So I found the Florida Food Policy Council, and I reached out to them. I sent them my bio and my info and said, I'd like to connect with you all and see what you're about. And I joined the board as a member, and I did some food forums about black farmers and, some different dialogues where I was sharing my experiences around the country in this work. And the next thing I know, I took over as chair. It's been a whirlwind ride, though, trust me. COVID and George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and, a global pandemic, and then an economic crisis where people can't eat. And that's where food again plays this critical role in everything, in survival. To connect the disconnected. I say it all the time. We're a space where people can have uncomfortable discussions, but necessary discussions around these issues. You know, we know the food system, a lot of the issues stem from systemic racism in the food system, like black farmers, like, you know, all of these things, black landlords, and our disconnect from food because of racism. I consider us like a information resource center, a clearinghouse, a knowledge sharing place. We have the food forums where different voices are heard around different topics. We partner with a lot of groups throughout the state. Now we've been seen as a group that is reliable, that's consistent, things that we never were thought of before. People knew of us and heard of us, but had told me that our work really wasn't consistent and we weren't genuine. And I think when they say genuine, meaning inclusive, because again, I'm the first person of color that came on the board and now I'm the chair. So, you know, they were doing the work, but they weren't doing it through a Jedi lens, through an equity lens, and that's where the difference came in. And we put ourselves in a position to really be a player in the game, really. And people respect us, and they respect us as a thought leader in this space, and it's led to a lot of opportunities for us to lean in and be a part of what other groups need and what they need from us. We were always about, oh, what can, you know, you do for us, when really it should have been, what can we do for you and how can we help you? And me, I think, being the leader that I am, servant leadership, going through the fellowship program that I was in too at that time, which kind of makes you think about being a servant versus people serving you. The vision I was trying to create for the council, making us a respected influencer, you know, an organization that cares and an organization that's effective, with Jedi, doing it through a Jedi lens. So I think all of those things, people were like, okay, this is the new Florida Food Policy Council. I think I like this group here. So I just see that as the direction we continue to go in, building those relationships and collaborations and partnerships. Just reach out to us at info@FLFPC.org. We're always looking for volunteers, interns, board members, advisory council members. It takes a village to get this work done. So anybody that's interested in joining us, please feel free. We would love to have you.